Avoid these 3 places in Australia at all costs. So in today's video, I'm going to be giving you some recommendations and some recommendations not to go for places in Australia. I travelled to most places in Australia, near enough. There's a couple of places I missed, but travelled most of the country. In today's video, I'm going to be giving you 3 places which you definitely should avoid and 3 places which I recommend you should probably visit or even live there from my personal experience. So we're going to start off today with 3 places which I would definitely avoid, potentially avoid. Number 1 is probably the place I'd avoid the most, and that is Surfers Paradise. I went to Surfers Paradise and I had about 2 days there, and let me tell you, 2 days in Surfers Paradise was enough. I didn't need any more than that. I didn't really enjoy it there. There wasn't a lot going on, and the whole place felt pretty run down, and just like, it felt run down. It didn't feel nice. Didn't feel well kept. Just felt a bit rough. I think Surfers Paradise can be nice if you're there with your friends for a few nights. I've heard the nightlife around there is pretty decent. It did kind of feel like a bit of one of them sort of nightlife places where at night it's all vibrant and comes to life, but in the day it just looks like shit. The beaches there are decent, but I think there's a lot nicer beaches on the Gold Coast than Surfers Paradise, so I didn't go to the whole Gold Coast. I've heard a lot of the Gold Coast is very nice, although you do probably need a car if you're going to live there. Surfers Paradise itself, I would definitely give it a miss. I would not go back to Surfers Paradise. Number 2, a place to avoid is Cairns. Now, Cairns can be a great place to base yourself because there is some amazing stuff around Cairns. We did the Great Barrier Reef, which was a great experience. One of the best things I did in Australia. There's also some amazing rainforests around there. The Daintree rainforest is very popular for tourists. Looks amazing. A lot of people fly to Cairns and they go up to places like Port Douglas, Palm Cove and stuff like that, a bit north of Cairns, which are very nice. But I'm talking specifically about Cairns town. I thought it was a bit rough again. Very industrial. You hear the name Cairns and you hear about the Great Barrier Reef and the rainforest and you think it's this lovely beachfront town. When you get out of the town, it is for sure, but actually being in the town, it just felt, yeah, it was busy and it felt industrial. I remember waiting fucking like 5 minutes at a time to like cross the road there because there was just so much traffic. I didn't vibe with the town that much. I didn't find it that nice. Again, like I said, when you get out of the town, it is very nice. It's a big hotspot for backpackers, so I guess that is a positive of Cairns. If you're looking to meet a lot of other travelers, it's a great option. But if you're looking for somewhere nice, a nice beach town, I would avoid Cairns, to be honest, unless you're basing yourself there to do the activities. And number 3 I'm gonna say a place to avoid. However, from my personal experience, I would recommend going, and that is Alice Springs. I would avoid it if you're looking to go somewhere nice, somewhere safe, and somewhere where you can relax. I would definitely avoid it. I would recommend going to Alice Springs for the experience, to learn about the culture, and also have some pretty cool stories. Alice Springs is one of the most dangerous towns, well, it's the most dangerous town in Australia, and I would avoid it for that reason. Definitely, you need to be careful with Alice Springs. I did a video on this, and at night especially, they have a massive crime problem. Me and my girlfriend felt particularly unsafe in the town. We didn't have anything major happen to us, luckily, but the whole vibe did feel pretty unsafe when we were in the town. If you're looking for a very cool cultural experience, I would go there, but the town is not nice at all. So they are 3 places that I would not recommend you visit in Australia. Here is 3 places which I definitely recommend you should visit. Number 1 is Perth. So I lived in Perth for about 9 months, and I lived in a few places in Australia, and I think Perth was my favourite place that we lived in the whole time there. We had such a good experience in Perth. The weather there is incredible. The scenery is amazing. It's got some of the best beaches we've ever seen. And yeah, the lifestyle in Perth for me was better than anywhere else in Australia. If I had to move back to one place in Australia as a city, it would definitely be Perth. Loads of young travellers as well, which is great for you guys who want to go and meet other travellers. And overall, I don't see why anyone can hate on Perth. People say it's isolated and too boring, but for me, there was loads going on there. And yeah, it's isolated, but for me, it's worth it. Do you know what I mean? The city's that nice that you don't feel like you need to get out of the city too much. The second place that I recommend you visit is Darwin. So I went to Darwin. Darwin is the biggest town in the state of the Northern Territory, and Darwin is such a cool vibe. It's up there in the jungle. It's so hot, but It's an amazing place. I loved my week in Darwin. We had the little waterfront area there is so nice. It's such a good vibe. If you're looking to go out for food and drinks, you can do some amazing tours from Darwin itself. We did Litchfield National Park where we got to see the crocodiles in the river, swim in creeks and check out some amazing waterfalls. There is so much amazing stuff around Darwin which I would definitely recommend you visit. Because Darwin is so far up, it almost feels more like Southeast Asia than it does Australia. But yeah, I love Darwin, especially if you go in the dry season. We actually went in the wet season, but if you go in the dry season, you're gonna have a great time. And the third place you should potentially live is Brisbane. For me, I've included Brisbane in this list purely because I think it's quite underrated. If I had to choose between like Brisbane and Sydney, for example, I probably would live in Sydney because of the beaches and stuff. The only downside of Brisbane to me is the fact it doesn't have a beach. It does have a man-made beach, but the nearest beaches are actually like the Gold Coast and the Sunshine Coast, which is quite far. However, Brisbane as a city I thought was a very good vibe. It's good for backpackers. The nightlife's really good there. There's some really nice hikes close to the city. And I felt like the city, there's a lot going on in Brisbane and I think it's a very nice vibe. Queensland's nice because it's always hot really there. Even in the winter in Brisbane, it's still a really nice temperature. The summers do get very hot and humid, but if you're looking for somewhere that's nice and warm in the winter, Brisbane's a great idea. And to be honest, if Brisbane had the beaches that Perth had, I would potentially live there, to be honest. That's like, for me, the Australian life has to have a beach, so that's the only downside of Brisbane, but I would recommend visiting for sure. So there you go. I have lots more recommendations for Australia. Lots of places I liked a lot, lots of places I didn't like so much. So yeah, hopefully you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you very soon with another one.